Hi, Leap to Lead friends. This is a little quick video about how do you know if your Scentsy business is a hobby or a business. And I'm going to start quickly just and tell you how I figured out I wanted to turn mine into a business. So back in 2010, I went to Hawaii on my very first Scentsy incentive trip, and I was a superstar consultant at that point. And one of the days, we were sitting around the pool at the Fairmont Orchid, which was a beautiful 5-star hotel that Scentsy always goes way out on their trips. Fancy hotel. I was sitting next to a superstar director. You might know her. Her name is Jacqueline Roy, or maybe you've seen her in her trainings. But she was telling me about her Scentsy business and how she joined. And at the time, she had just retired from being, she was like 30 at the time, or 28 or something, that had retired from being a full-time nurse. And I was like, hey, that's crazy that she has retired that early. And she was telling me about her business and how big it is and how much income she's making and like how amazing it was. And she's like, you are in Canada and it just opened. You should run with your business because you have a really unique opportunity being in a new country. Like, run with your business, girl. And so Ryan was with me and we had a good chat after that conversation. And I was like, let's really make a go at this. Like, let's really see if we can do something with it. And sure enough, like all these years later, Scentsy has literally grown into a full-time business for us. But it was listening to her story and her experience and seeing it work for someone else, that kind of like started turning my wheels in my head, that maybe I could do it too. If she could do it, why not me? So that's kind of where I guess like what stands out for me is how I decided that I really wanted to take a crack at it. So let's just talk a little bit about though, like, what is the difference between a hobby and a business in your Scentsy business? What is the difference between working it as a hobby and a business? A hobby is obviously something that you do like occasionally, no expectations or results. You just kind of do it when you want, you show up when you want, you don't show up when you don't want. Like, that is what's considered a hobby. And you're going to get hobby results when you work hobby efforts, right? And then a business is something that you commit to you set goals, you're consistent at it, you work kind of similar hours, you have a set time, you know when you're going to work, you know what responsibilities are required in your business. You track things, you know what you have plans for what you need to do the next day or the next week. You know when you're going to follow up, you know when you're going to provide customer service. You basically have things planned. I would say that's the biggest difference between a hobby and a business. Is a hobby, you literally just show up kind of inconsistently when you feel like it. You don't really track things. Today I feel like I'll do a couple things for Scentsy. Maybe I'll reach out to some people, maybe I won't. But you just kind of do it like haphazardly, and you're going to get random results when you work randomly, right? Whereas if your business, you have kind of clear goals, you have a direction, maybe you're really working for the next incentive trip to Mexico, but you know that you're tracking things, you're tracking efforts, you have some systems set in place, you know, kind of, you might have a budget or some expenses for your business. So those are all things that are really going to help you decide, like, you will know, and you already know, are you working it as a hobby or business? And really, at the end of the day, why it matters is if you work it as a hobby, you're going to have a hobby income. And if you work it as a business, you can have a business income. So maybe I think that's the biggest thing that you want to really ask yourself is, am I doing this as a hobby or business? And the really good thing about these kind of models is you don't have to commit, like, you don't only have to be a hobby worker or only running it as a business all the time. You might fluctuate. You might have some times where you have the ability to put more consistent effort, or you need more from your Scentsy business, and you have the time and you have the flexibility, and you are going to ramp it up and work it like a business. And then maybe sometimes life gets in the way, and maybe kids or priorities or family or health or sickness or whatever. Life happens, because we know that happens. And you have to kind of scale it back, and you might be working it just more as a hobby business. And that's honestly the most beautiful and best part of this model, is you have the ability to fluctuate between the two. Be realistic and know that you're going to have hobby income if you work it as a hobby, business income if you work it as a business. But the best part of the model is you can fluctuate when you need to. So just be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, they say like to ask yourself, if your income matched your effort right now, would you be satisfied? say that again. If your income matched your effort right now, would you be satisfied? Meaning, is your business, your Scentsy business, where you need it to be right now? Anyways, that is my my thoughts about this today.